Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Look who's back from Florida. Nice and tan. It's Uncle Bob, the man himself. The man, the myth, the legend. He has returned. So thank you guys for watching and clicking on this because Uncle Bob is here. I know it does greatly improve my viewing statistics. So I'm glad that Bob came back. Today, for your viewing pleasure and hopefully for the owner of this motor, his viewing pleasure, we are going to get ready to start this Oldsmobile 455 for the very first time. I had a couple of other things that we needed to pick up, which you hopefully saw in the most recent video. We also had to make sure we had some exhaust extensions correct because this motor is running, even though Bill of Old Man's Garage doesn't like it, running EFI, which means it needs to have an O2 sensor in the exhaust, that it needs to have a good exhaust signal. So, Rich just did a little bit of fabrication work for me yesterday. We got our ball and socket Headman headers here with a 3-inch to 3-inch reducer.
We got a wire.
And a O2 sensor there. We've got more or less everything set up. This is a Holley Terminator X setup.
It's about
all of the Holley stuff here. So it's going to have EFI as well as timing control. This is a Holley Hyperspark distributor there. And this is going to be pretty cool. This is going to be something that's going to be a not setting the world on fire kind of motor, but it should run pretty well. The idea with this motor was this is a drag and drive style motor. This gentleman wants to go out on power tour with us and be one of my rowdy friends that's going to go out with us. And it's going to be able to run on 87 octane, which is the crappiest fuel you can buy here in the United States because it's cheaper and you can still make pretty good power out of it. So we have lowered the compression to a level that will be capable of running on a lower power level. On a lower fuel level, so he should be able to still make good power and run on cheap gasoline, which is the best of both worlds in my opinion. You are going to get some additional benefit running a higher compression ratio to be able to run more aggressive camshafts and that kind of stuff, but that's not anything we really need to worry about. This thing should make pretty good power, should make pretty good noises, as long as Bob didn't do anything wrong.
Hey.
If it does, if it does have any problems, it's either Bob or Ryan.
Yeah, you blame me.
One of these two would have screwed this up. It's not me. Because you all know me. I didn't do any real work. Let's be honest here. I didn't do any real work. Yeah, so this is what we were discussing is I feel a little worried that we're going to maybe fry some stuff here. I do have one of these kits that I got from DEI, which is a muffler shield kit. That comes with the insulation as well as the actual aluminum piece there. And we could kind of fab up a shield there and set that in between to at least give it some kind of protection between the two. Yeah, I'm just nervous about frying Bob's dyno electronics.
I mean, we can slide it back, but
with how close, because normally like a dyno header would be way out here. With an actual car header, that's a lot closer thing there. I don't really want to fry his stuff. I'm sure it'll be on my bill if I do fry Bob's stuff. For those of you who are curious, who are fans of my channel and have been here before, we do have some other projects that are moving forward up here at McVeigh's, namely 2 Pontiac projects. This is my 1971 350 Pontiac build. I should have new rods showing up tomorrow. What's today? No, should be showing up on Thursday. To be able to get everything moving forward on both of these projects. But this is a stock bore Pontiac 350. It's going to be running a brand new set of Silverlight standard bore pistons as well as Eagle rods. That's going to get that thing up and running. It's going to be an iron-headed 9-to-1 compression, nothing crazy. A little aggressive on the camshaft, but nothing real serious. Nice little basic unit. We're going to run a cast iron intake manifold, I believe, on that, as well as a quadrijet. So that's going to go back to old school. This 350 is going to be built as an HO, so it's going as kind of full balls to the wall as you really want to go with a cast iron headed Pontiac 350 build. It's going to be 30 over piston. It's going to be running another set of forged rods, which I'm waiting to show up. We're going to be running a set of 62 large valve heads from Pontiac, which is still going to be cast iron. And we're also going to be able to test a whole different bunch of intake manifolds because a lot of people have asked for a comparison over a bunch of different intake manifolds. So I've got Torkers, I've got Pontiac old school cast iron, I've got an air gap intake, I've got an Offenhauser dual quad I've got all kinds of things that I'm going to be able to run on it, and it's going to be pretty cool to be able to compare those things and contrast them. So the nice thing is Bob is willing to allow me to have the dyno time to be able to do all this kind of stuff, and he's willing to build this stuff for me, and that's extremely grateful for that. So should be a fun day. I'm excited about this. I don't want to bother Bob too terribly much. Let him and Ryan do what they do in there.
So next time, make me one of those O2 sensors on that side so I can use my on my dyno.
Why don't you just move it to that side?
I can't. I gotta have 2 holes for 2 different sensors.
Oh, gotcha. You need one for the dyno and one for the O.
Well, yeah, I would have.
Gotcha.
I had one.
I gotcha.
So that one's just got the Holley one in it over there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
My bad.
Your day to learn.
My bad. Note to self. We need O2 sensors out of both sides. Normally speaking, the Holley system is only going to sniff one side, but as Bob was pointing out there, his dyno doesn't have the ability to pull O2 sensor signals, so we're just going to have to go with whatever the Holley unit figures itself out. Neat thing is these things do a lot of self-tuning, so we should be able to fire it up on a base tune and then kind of drive it around and let it do its thing. All of these EFI systems, whether they're Phytech or Holley or Aces or whomever, work on kind of a self-learning situation. So they get up to an operating temperature and then they adjust themselves based on what they're seeing, AFR-wise, air-fuel ratio-wise, and they will lean themselves out or richen themselves up based on you just kind of driving it around. So you can drive it on the dyno, giving it various different levels of throttle and load to be able to teach or allow the system to teach itself where your throttle points are. Pretty cool little feature. Instead of having to take the bowls off and change jets and all that kind of stuff with that old school carbureted stuff,
Yeah.
it basically does it by itself.
Sheet right.
For those curious, that's your spark plug we're using. All right, quick recap on the build as far as what it is before we get this thing fired up. 455 Olds block, Edelbrock Performer RPM heads. We're running around 9.5 to 1 compression. It does have a SCAT crankshaft. It does have SCAT 6.8 big block Chevy rods because that Oldsmobile crankshaft has Chevy journals, which was a little bit of a curveball we hadn't planned on. It is running a set of custom-made pistons for us that we have also custom cut to be able to make sure that our compression is exactly where we need it to be. What we don't want to run into is a situation where we need to build a motor that's going to run on race gas. Not our thing. So we took a little bit of a haircut off the top of the piston just to make sure everything is good. Our compressions are exactly where they need to be. CC'd everything out just fine, and we're perfectly fine. We have not touched these heads. They are just as they are out of the box. No adjustments whatsoever. Other than springs. We did put springs in it because this is running a hydraulic roller camshaft, not a flat tappet camshaft, which is what these heads were originally spec'd for. And then we've got our Edelbrock Performer RPM intake manifold and our Super Sucker, which should be interesting to see how that works. You think this is going to make power? The Super Sucker with a EFI versus carb?
Testing. That's what we're finding out.
We're going to find out. I know it does work with a
Carburetor.
carburetor. It certainly does. It'll be interesting to see because the fuel atomization process with EFI is completely different than it is with
But up that
carburetion.
high, I ain't sure it is any different.
Yeah.
When it's right underneath the plate, underneath
Yeah.
the throttle blade, in my theory, I can't think it's atomized yet until it gets as it's going.
Because this is injecting up here, not down here at the end of the port.
Right. I don't know. We'll see. We did swap to the taller studs, 2.5-inch studs. So everything's fitting there. We're good to go. We're almost to the point where, oh, this does have a 4/7 swap on the camshaft as well. For all you old guys, that is how most of these camshafts now are ground, is for the 4/7 swap. So firing order is a little bit different than what you would be classically used to. Make sure you're doing that wiring correctly when you are getting it set up in the car. Otherwise, it's not going to run very well. So we are close. Very excited to see this thing run. Hopefully it's going to make it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Bob's kicking me out of the room. Bye. Bob's tired of me talking. I'm sure you guys probably are too. Let's shut him out there. Shut up!
Let's put some water in this thing. I gotta turn the water down.
Bob loves being on camera, buddy.
No!
He does. He loves being the star of the show. He's gonna win a daytime Emmy for best supporting actor. I am very fortunate to have Bob on camera and have him willing to build the cars or the engines that we build. So I do very much appreciate him. And he's in the Gold Chain Gang. Which is,
Hey, I want you to know I have added one down here.
you added a gold chain on your ankle?
On the ankle. I sent it to Jimmy Dale and said, I'm up on you. He sent me back one of Mo's ankle. He said, no, you're not.
Listen, as long as it's not one of those ones that has a beep, beep, beep thing on it, you have around your ankle, everything's fine.
Fuel pressure?
It's at like 66.
We're off.
Yeah.
It's alive! Those first few bits are a little bit complicated. If it was a carbureted machine, it just does what it needs to do. Because you've got to put parameters in there and teach the system a little bit, there's a little bit more of a learning curve there. Carburetors are dumb, but they work. So you got to figure out your timing, you got to figure out, make sure everything's good to go as far as your fuel pressure goes and all that other stuff. Also, no leaks, which is good. No coolant leaks, no oil leaks thus far, which is good. So we got to make sure we can fire this thing up, make sure it sounds good, make sure we're good to go. There's no leaks in or anything. We're going to heat cycle this thing a few times to make sure that it's healthy before we do any kind of pulling on it whatsoever. So, but hey, it's alive. Fuel's on.
Yeah, water, fuel.
Water's on. Over here doing some tuning.
Yeah. Not good enough.
The kind of tuning that doesn't require screwdrivers and socket sets.
You got everything on in there?
We got ignition, we got fuel, going water on. Water on.
Hey, we got 0 fuel pump.
Well, not every day at the dyno is a good day. What we're battling here is possibly a fuel pump issue where the house fuel pump is fried. Fortunately, we happen to have another one, so we're going to swap pumps real quick and see whether or not that solves our issue and gets us back up and running. Otherwise, this whole thing's on hold because you got to run a lot more fuel pressure on a fuel injected system than you do on a carbureted system, so we can't just use the carbureted fuel pump. One of the issues, and we're not anywhere we can easily get one. It's 6 o'clock at night, so we can't exactly just swing in somewhere and pick up a high volume, high pressure fuel pump. So we're going to see if this other backup pump works, and if it does, we're back in business. If not, that's how it goes. This is the stuff you don't ever see whenever you watch dyno videos. It's always just like, bang, fun, like, right? That's how it works. It's everybody wants to see. Make those glory runs and off we go. That's not usually how it works. Doesn't matter if it's an engine dyno or a chassis dyno. There's almost always something that you're going to have to deal with. And this is the reality of this thing. And that's really what I want to show you guys with this channel, and what I do here is the day-to-day real life stuff of how this all really works. What really takes to be able to do this kind of thing. Because a lot of channels just gloss over this stuff and just only show you the glory bits. They don't show you the gory bits. And I don't want to hide this stuff from you guys. You know, this is a full day of production. This is between Bob and myself. Like, this is our whole day. And if we can't get this fired back up, that's the whole day. Any way you want to look at it. So they aren't always good days at the dyno. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see. Hopefully it sounds good. So, we are concerned that our EFI system is fouling plugs. So we gotta just put a second set of plugs in it and within a little bit of time, it fouled out another set of plugs. So our AFRs are all over the place. It seems to be freaking out. Our map sensor signal seems a little bit weird. So we're going to go old school, and we're going to let the Hyperspark control the ignition and take and put a, well, obviously we've already put an ATM carburetor on it. Let's see if this thing will run off the carburetor and see if we've got a fueling issue with where that EFI system is. Which, carburetors.
Carburetors! ATM carburetors! Back readjustable.
Yep. Well, it's legitimately heat cycled now, so.
Yeah. I was surprised it got as warm as it did. I and all the screwing around it was taking to get there.
Well, it also takes forever and a day for these big son bitches to cool down, too. They hold heat for forever.
I mean, it sounded so much better.
Yeah. All you gotta do is just put a carburetor on it. That's a win for the ATM carburetor, boys. Just take it out of the box, put it on, it works.
Yeah, that's literally the same thing my radio's doing. On anything.
Yeah. Just take it out of the box, put it on, it works.
It even runs on 4 cylinders.
Yeah, it does.
It was running better on 4 cylinders than was on that.
I wasn't rolling video. I wish I had. But we fired it. We bumped it over a few times, and we had that entire passenger side of plugs out of the motor, and it literally fired itself up off just this half, and was
Just smooth as glass.
it's spraying fuel all over Bob. Fortunately, Bob's okay. No Bobs were injured in the making of this
That's
film.
why I have this shut-off switch up here now.
Yeah.
You didn't have time to go around the corner.
I was also laughing. All right, so what are we thinking? What do we know? We got
Oh,
one.
no?
A, carburetors win.
Man, carburetors win. Put that thing on there, start it up, smoothed out.
So we got a couple things that we gotta make sure we're good. Now that we've heat cycled the thing, make sure everything's tight.
Well, it's barely been heat cycled, honestly. It's just, you know, it just started and ran and finally got a smoothness out of it, and we wasn't fighting it. And man, mainly controlled the timing to get it to where it was in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And then we knew it was hitting on all cylinders, and you know, but up to then, that Holley thing wasn't working for whatever reason to control timing to help it. You know, I never saw it move even when I was adjusting it manually. I'm not Ryan's the sharper tool in the toolbox on that, but
So we're gonna leave this as is at the moment.
yeah.
Pick
I'm
this
going to come back
up.
in tomorrow and readjust some valves and probably start it up and run it through some more heat cycles with that carburetor on there.
Okay.
With the timing just where it's set. It's in the 30 range.
Mhm.
And that'll allow us to get some heat on it. Probably ought to pick up a couple more sets of plugs because
Okay. Yeah, we fouled a set already.
yeah.
And the seconds in here.
Yeah, I've been there back years ago. How you can foul a plug, and you can fight foul plugs.
Yeah.
And I, you know, not that that was anything to do with this problem. You know.
No, but our fueling and timing issue, we're absolutely fouling plugs, which made it more complicated.
Yeah, it made it more complicated. But so once we, yeah.
Okay.
But
There you go. So seems like we're healthy.
yeah, I mean, we had oil pressure and it was smooth, and we adjust the valves and run it through a couple heat cycles, and then the idea is just getting this Holley to
Yeah, behave
work.
itself.
Yeah, you need to reach out to somebody, and you know, if we would be here, we have another guy.
Gotta have a guy.
Gotta have a guy. Don't have a guy at Holley.
All right, so that's where we're gonna leave this one out right now. It is fired up. Currently, we've got the plugs out of it. It is sitting here with the carburetor on it. We were hearing a little bit of valve train noise, so we're gonna go through and make sure all those are good to go. And like Bob said, he's gonna heat cycle the thing a couple more times so we can make sure that everything's good. That will be following up. We're not gonna do that today, but at least we have the initial fire on this one. Got a couple of things we need to do to fine tune, and I'm gonna go pick up another set of spark plugs tomorrow. And we'll see where that is. Because I believe we fouled probably his plugs and my plugs, fighting that situation. I will say in my personal history, I have run a number of different EFI systems on a number of different motors. On Dyno, I have always used a carburetor to fire the motor up instead of using it on an EFI system. Because all they really know is your basic parameters, and they're a little hit and miss. Some people are going to say, go ahead and fire it up off of EFI. I've always done it off a carburetor. It just works. They're dumb units. That's what they do. So fuel delivery, not a problem. We don't have to worry about that. We've got a couple things we're going to troubleshoot to be able to make it run better. And we'll get back to you guys on the next one. Probably do some heat cycling, maybe some minor pulling on it. And then we will save the fun show for that next one. Any words of wisdom, Bob? How was Florida?
It was great.
Yeah? Glad to be back?
Yeah, I am.
At least for a very short time?
We'll see.
Yeah.
See how my shoulder goes.
Yeah. Going bionic, man.
Absolutely.
Get an upgrade while you're in there?
Absolutely. All parts.
All right, guys. Well, there you go. Bob's on the video, so there better be a lot of viewership here. The All-Star is back. Thank you guys for being here. I truly do appreciate it, Ryan. Appreciate you tagging in for the EFI stuff and all the dyno prep as well. So that's where we're going to wrap this one up. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. We love you. Bye-bye.